Thank you. Thank you, Tito Donny Salvador, for the very kind introduction. My esteemed friend from way back, Ana Dubilia Simpson. We worked together many years ago in one company, many years ago. Although you can tell from her looks. Cielo Capagal Salgado, magandang hapon po. Good to see you here. My friend Ed Tirona, Ambassador Dubilia, sa inyo po lahat, magandang hapon po. Yung presentation ko, usually it's about 1 hour. And I have a PowerPoint, but I have to compress this because I was given 20 minutes. I know that then I have to run also to Congress. We all of a sudden scheduled the hearing on the budget today, Monday. The President submitted his 1.816 trillion peso budget, so we had to rush. Miyembro po ako ng Committee on Appropriations, tapos pumunta ako ito for this. Pasensya na po, but I have to go back because session opens at 4 o'clock. Alam nyo, ang topic ko ngayon, Reproductive Health Bill. I would like to very quickly talk about the demographic, the statistical, the economic, the social, the medical, and the scientific reasons why we should reject the Reproductive Health Bill. But before I say that, alam niyo, madalas na isabihin ng mga proponent ng RH, ang overwhelming majority of the Filipino people daw are in favor of the RH bill because of an SWS survey. Well, there may be an SWS survey, but let me tell you the methodology of that survey. Unang question, have you read the RH bill? Most of the respondents said no. 90%, maybe more. In fact, if you go to the street right now and ask 10, I'm very sure almost 10 will say, no, I have not read. But in spite of that, itutuloy pa rin nila yung question on whether they are in favor of the RH bill. Tinanong namin, paano nyo makukuha yung opinion nila? Ang sabi daw, yung nag-survey, explain the RH bill to the respondent. Who is that surveyor who can explain the RH bill to the respondent in a few minutes? Eh kami, ilang taon na namin dinidebate yung RH bill, ang dami, hindi pa rin nakakaintindi. Kaya doon pa lang, the methodology is really very defective. So that's the first question. Ang isa pang madalas sabihin nila, na 50% daw ng mga pinapanganak unwanted or unplanned pregnancy. 50%, that's the figure they mentioned. Kaya kailangan daw ng RH para maplano. In other words, dito po sa audience ngayon, 50% of you were born unwanted and unplanned. So I don't know which one would belong to the 50%, no? Maybe if you look to the left, maybe yun unwanted. If you look to the right, baka yun wanted. In other words, 50% of you do not deserve to be sung happy birthday sa birthday niyo dahil hindi happy yung pagdating niyo sa mundong ito. Okay. Nung magsimula ang debate sa Kamara for this Congress of the RH bill, one of the first to talk was former Senator Ting Paterno. Ang sabi niya, and I'd like to quote, medyo nasyak ako dito sa sinabi niya, no? And if you have too many children that you can afford to send to school, you are consigning those children to poverty. And you are promoting an intergenerational poverty, ang salin ng kahirapan mula sa magulang hanggang sa anak at sa mga apo. That's former Senator Ting Paterno when he made that statement before the Committee on Population of the House of Representatives on November 24, 2010. Ang salin ng kahirapan. Parang it's hereditary. Para nakakahawa yung kahirapan. In other words, pag ikaw ay mahirap na pinanganak, yung anak mo magiging mahirap din at yung mga apo mo magiging mahirap din. I'd like to cite myself as an example. I come from a low-cost government housing project. Our family moved from a rural province, Romblon, Lumaki ako sa isang low-cost government housing project, nag-aral sa public school. Ang mga kasama ko sa eskwelahan, karamihan mga anak din ng mga ordinaryo at mahirap na mga tao, coming from big families, 5, 6 children. Kung tama ang sinabi ni former Senator Ting Paterno, dapat lahat kami hanggang ngayon mahirap pa rin. But let me tell you, doon sa klase namin, doon sa elementary at sa high school, pag tingnan nyo kung nasaan kami ngayon, marami doon, naging doktor, naging professional, naging businessmen, maybe half of them are now abroad, gainfully employed. Dati halos wala kayong makikita na sasakyan doon sa Project 3. Ngayon halos lahat kami ay meron sariling sasakyan. Kaya hindi tama po ang sinabi ni Secretary Ting Paterno. Dahil he forgets na ngayon ang pinakamalaking economic component contributing to the GDP of the country, the single biggest economic component contributing $21 billion or 12% of the GDP are the 8.7 million OFWs. And many of them come from poor families, mga rural areas. Hindi sila taga-Wakwak, hindi sila taga-BF, hindi sila taga-Forbes, hindi taga-Bel Air, hindi sila nakakapasok sa ganitong klaseng club, Club Filipino. Mga ordinaryong tao. Pero sila ang nagpapalakas sa ating ekonomiya ngayon. Kung wala yung 8.7 million na yan na galing sa mga pamilyang mahirap, saan kaya tayo pinulot noong 1997 during the Asian currency crisis? Saan kaya tayo pinulot noong 2008 nung magkaroon ng financial crisis doon sa Amerika na hanggang dito ay dumating? But we were insulated from that because of the billions and billions of dollars contributed by the millions and millions of OFWs na lahat ay galing sa mahirap. And of course, very recently, tama-tama, kanina lang, pinag-usapan din dun sa Committee on Appropriations, the Central Bank recognized the contribution of the 8.7 million Filipinos. But today, there is also an emerging industry, and this is the BPO industry. Noong mga 2-3 years ago, the BPO industry accounted for only about $6.1 billion and maybe about 400,000 OFW employees. Today, in maybe about 2-3 years, that figure is going to hit about $10 to $11 million. Next already to the OFW sector and employing about 10 to 11 million Filipinos or about 1 million Filipinos, contributing 10 to 11 billion dollars. Karamihan din sa mga nagtatrabaho sa BPO, most of them call centers, galing din sa pamilya na mahihirap. These are the strong economic pillars of the country today, contributed by people who come from ordinary families. Kaya mali na naman si Secretary Ting Paterno. And of course, ang pinakamagandang balita ngayon, nung una, ina-idolize natin ang India pagdating sa call center. Nasabi natin, sana maabot natin yung naabot ng India because India is an emerging economic superpower and primarily because of IT and ICT. And a lot of that is because of the call centers. Pero ngayon, recently, naunahan na natin yung India. We are ahead of India today. At siguro, baka sa may ibang bagay, either maunahan natin o baka ma-approximate natin yung kanilang achievement. But of course, it's a little difficult because right now India has a workforce of young men and women numbering about 300 million. Kaya medyo mahirap abutan yung India pagdating sa bagay na yan because of the strength of their population. Noong May 18, 2011, doon sa Commission on Appointments, tama-tama na-interview ko si Secretary Paderanga. Alam niyo, si Secretary Paderanga was the NEDA Secretary in 1992 at the end of the term of then President Cory. Ngayon, bumalik na naman si Secretary Paderanga still as NEDA Secretary. In 1992, according to Secretary Paderanga, incidentally, Secretary Paderanga comes from a family of 12 children. In 1992, ang population natin 65 billion. Ngayon, ang population natin is 95 million after about 20 years. Yung sinasabi yan, 30 million na yan, parati sinasabi ng mga pro-RH people. Kita nyo na, 30 million na nadagdag sa populasyon ng Pilipinas. Sobrang dami na tayo. At ang dahilan dyan, yung mga mahihirap, anak sila ng anak. But ladies and gentlemen, I'd like to tell you, noong 1992, ang poverty level natin was 32%. Today, our poverty level is 26%. And if you do a little computation, and Secretary Paderanga helped me in making this computation during my interpellation, those belonging to the poverty level in 1992 was 20.8 billion. Let's say 20 million. Ngayon, umabot na ng 24.7 billion. Let's make it 24 billion. Ilan ang nadagdag ng mga mahihirap sa total population of the country? Only about 4 million. Ilan ang nadagdag sa total population during this 20-year period? 30 million. 4 million lang ang dinagdag ng mga mahihirap. Eh bakit sinisisi ni Congressman Lagman yung mga mahihirap na nagpapadami sa ating populasyon when the bulk of the increase in population of 26 million out of 30 came from those who are not poor? So, maligo na sisihin natin yung mga mahirap. Yun lang ang perception natin. Because when we go to the poor places, we see a lot of children. But they do not constitute the overwhelming majority of the Filipino people. So bakit sisisihin dito? Ang isang madalas din sabihin ng mga pro-RH, ang sabi nila, yun daw, RH bill kailangan natin sapagkat napakaraming bagay ang ino-offer ng RH bill that will help so much, no? But actually what they did was they provided a lot of sweeteners and covered that bitter part of the RH bill to make it palatable and even attractive to a lot of people. Ang pinakapuso nitong RH bill is the purchase and procurement of billions and billions of pesos worth of contraceptives and condoms. Para i-distribute, gigil na gigil sila na gumasta ng bilyon-bilyong pisong halaga ng contraceptives and condoms to be distributed purportedly by the DOH. Pero ang ginawa nila para hindi masyado mabisto ito, because a lot of people are already suspecting that there might be a commercial justification for this. There may be something that will attract people in a graft-prone activity. Binalutan nila ito ng mga features that are indeed very attractive. Halimbawa, who would argue against reproductive health? Who would argue against minimizing maternal health? Who would argue against promoting breastfeeding, etc., etc.? But the truth is, all of these attractive features are already contained in an existing law. And this is Republic Act 9710, otherwise known as the Magna Carta for Women. Tingnan niyo po, no? I'll give you an example. House Bill number 4244, yan na ang pangalan ng RH Bill ngayon. Nakalagay doon, maternal, infant, and child health and nutrition. Wow! Sino naman ang kukontra dyan? Di ho ba? But that is already in 9710, Republic Act 9710. And what is the wording in 9710? Maternal, infant health, and nutrition. Almost exactly the same words, copied verbatim. Second, nakalagay dito, doon sa House Bill, Family Planning, Information, and Services. Again, a lot of people would say, I'm in favor of that. Maganda yan, family planning para maturuan ng mga tao, whether it's artificial or natural, importante, maturuan yung mga tao. So that is again a sweetener. But they don't tell us that in 9710, again, nakalagay din doon, maternal care, infant health and nutrition, etc., etc. Family planning. Tapos nakalagay din dito, letter C, no? Proscription of abortion and management of abortion complications. Again, yung mga anti-abortion, like all of you here, ang ganda yan, anti-abortion pala, pabor ako dyan. But they don't tell us that in 9710, ito sinasabi din. Prevention of abortion and management of pregnancy-related complications. It's there already in the existing law. Next, elimination of violence against women. Siyempre, sabi ni Ana, tama yan. Dapat, labanan natin. Pabor ako dyan. Meron pala elimination against violence of violence against women. But it's already there in 9710.